All right then. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is January 24th, 2021. This is a special meeting of the members of the State Liquor Authority being conducted in Albany and also remotely. We have attending the meeting Chairman Bradley by telephone.
Yes, I'm here.
We have Commissioners Ford and Fan both appearing by video. Staff in attendance, we have General Counsel Meyerhoff by video. We have Deputy Commissioner of Licensing Roberts on the telephone.
I'm on, thanks.
And myself, Secretary Donahue, in the Albany offices. We have 7 items on today's calendar. They are all requests from Counsel's office for emergency orders of summary suspension. The first item is agenda number 264DD. It's King's OP 1312169. The licensee is Now and Then NYC Inc.
Good afternoon, members. This is Margarita Marsico on behalf of Counsel's office. Requesting that the members issue an emergency order of summary suspension as to Now and Then NYC, located at 290 Messerole in Brooklyn, New York, within the confines of the 90th Police Precinct. The reason we're making this request is that apparently the police, the local police, have been aware that there's something going on at this premise. The Vice assisted Counsel's office by producing to us calls of 311 for the last year. And that report that was submitted to the members shows that there's been at least 30 noise complaints, complaints of lack of social distancing, both in the backyard and inside this licensed premise. So the officers advised us that recently they've seen groups of 10 to 20 people walking in and out of the door next door to the gate that leads into the licensed premise, which incidentally is not marked either by an address or by a name, which is illegal, both under the New York City Administrative Code and under a New York State law, the General Business Law. All businesses are required to post their business name, and under the New York City law, they're required to have an address. So these officers have been seeing this going on. So on January 18th at about 3 a.m, they once again received a call of an illegal party. The officers, neighborhood coordinating officers, responded. They entered through this door, which is next to the roll down gate. And they got to the door leading into the licensed premise, and they started to knock on the door and announce themselves, saying, "Police, open up." And the occupants refused to open the door. The officers heard music, they heard noise, and they also smelled smoke. The supervising sergeant was concerned because of the smoke, so he called the New York City Fire Department for assistance. The fire department personnel arrived. They were able to breach the door and enter into the licensed premise, where they found approximately 50 patrons inside the licensed premise, drinking alcohol, smoking hookah. Some were not wearing masks, and they were not social distancing. There was a manager present who was issued a summons. All the occupants were eventually emptied out of the premises. And, that's basically what happened. So as a result of this incident, the counsel's office is charging the licensee with various charges, including violating Executive Order 202.3, 202.81, a failure to permit inspection pursuant to the Alcohol Beverage Control Law, failure to comply with local rules, including locking the occupants in with this with the gate that was locked, which is obviously imperiling their life and their health. The fact that their egress is blocked. And other violations, and also failure to supervise. This licensee has had their license since March 10th of 2020, which expires on February 28th of 2022. It is one licensee principal. Her name is Denise Temple. When the authority issued this license, we permitted the licensee to have a DJ, live music, no dancing, and the premise is licensed as a bar tavern, selling wine, beer, and cider. And the licensee has no prior history. So based on these facts, it's our it's our belief that this licensee presents an imminent threat to the safety of the patrons and the police and other personnel, so we're requesting that you issue an order of summary suspension.
All right, Commissioner Fan, do you have any questions?
No, I have no questions. Thank you, Margarita.
Commissioner Ford, do you have any questions?
Margarita, you said they were licensed March 10th, little under a year ago, as a bar tavern with wine, beer, and cider only. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. I don't have any further questions.
All right, then, Chairman Bradley, any questions?
No, I have no questions.
All right, with that, I'll call for the vote of the members. First, Commissioner Fan.
Based on the evidence presented by council, this location is an imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare for a variety of reasons as they continue to provide indoor service while COVID is raging, and they're also locking their patrons inside with a roll-down gate and allowing smoking inside. I am voting to summarily suspend this license.
Commissioner Ford, your vote, please.
Based on evidence presented by council and as Commissioner Fan said, locking patrons in, smoking, things like that, all a potentially horrendous situation. So I'm voting to summarily suspend as well.
Chairman Bradley, your vote, please.
Based on council's presentation, I'm voting to summarily suspend. It's clear this licensee is a risk to the public health, safety, and welfare.
The next item I have is 264EE, New York OP 1302014, Surya Hell's Kitchen, Inc.
Good afternoon. This is Margarita Marsico again on behalf of council's office, requesting that you issue an order of summary suspension as to this licensee doing business as Badshaw Modern Inc., which is located on 9th Avenue in the Hell's Kitchen area of the city. On January 22nd, 2021, at about 7:30 p.m., an SLA investigator went to inspect the premises and observed the outdoor structure, which is on the street. The structure is made of plastic and wood and was completely enclosed. There were 10 patrons sitting inside the structure who were eating and drinking. The investigator then entered the premise itself to discuss the identified issues with the bartender who said he was in charge. At that point, the investigator saw an employee in the kitchen not wearing a mask. The investigator informed the bartender that two sides of the structure must be completely open at all times, and the bartender indicated that he was going to relay that message to the manager. So there were a lot of patrons obviously inside. It's clear that this is connected to licensee, has the same name as you see from the photographs. It has the name Badshaw on the structure itself, so there's no doubt that it's related to Badshaw. Based on these facts, we're requesting that we're charging the licensee with violating Executive Order 202.3, 202.81, 202.16, and failure to supervise. And they're conducting indoor dining at a time when it's illegal because of the health risks. So we're requesting that this emergency order be issued.
All right, Commissioner Fan, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Ford, do you have any questions?
When were they licensed, Margarita?
Oh, June of 2017.
Any adverse history?
None.
Okay, thank you.
Chairman Bradley, any questions?
No, I have no questions.
All right, with that, I'll call for the vote of the members. First, Commissioner Fan.
This licensee is violating the governor's executive order surrounding COVID-19 by allowing indoor service and therefore creating an imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare. And I'm voting to summarily suspend this license.
Commissioner Ford, your vote, please.
Based on evidence presented by council, I am also voting to summarily suspend this licensee.
And Chairman Bradley.
Based on council's presentation, I'm voting to summarily suspend. It's clear this licensee is a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare.
All right, then the next item I have is 264FF, New York OP 1315526. The licensee is Greenfields Restaurant Group, LLC.
Good afternoon, members of the authority. Robert Buckley for council's office. The licensee that's the subject of this item is a full on-premise liquor license located at 488 3rd Avenue in Manhattan, 3rd Avenue and 33rd Street. This location was visited on Friday, January 22nd, 2021 by an SLA investigator and another investigator. The premises is relatively large. It was licensed to have obviously an inside location as well as an outdoor patio and other outdoor seating as described in the licensee's application as POPS or privately owned public space. That appears to be an outdoor area but attached to the indoor premises. The investigator went there on a complaint of indoor dining. She visited beginning at approximately 10:08 p.m. As the members know, there's no indoor dining permitted, and the outdoor service has to cease at 10 p.m. pursuant to the executive orders. 10:08 p.m. and thereafter, the investigator observed several persons inside the location dining. There was a manager, a Mr. Alone, presumably the pronunciation of the name, who was present. He indicated that some of the people there were former employees and friends of his, 5 women at a table. The investigator saw 2 other persons at a table who were dining and drinking. And lastly, there was another manager who Mr. Alone said was going to replace him for the night, who was with 2 other persons, and those persons were consuming, again, indoor in the licensed premises proper. As well, the investigator observed that outdoor patio area, which was totally enclosed with a roof, fabric and vinyl tent type structure, indicating that, and she indicates in a report in the photographs that there were 32 persons observed inside the structure. There was only one door to the outside, and that was shut. And again, it's attached more or less to the premises itself. So clearly the licensee is in clear violation of the executive orders regarding indoor dining and cessation of any service after 10 p.m. It's clear this licensee is not willing to obey the executive orders. The license was issued on May 1st, 2019. There's one adjudicated executive order violation on June 22nd of 2020. The premises observed to have people standing outside with drinks, not social distancing, not wearing masks, in essence lingering outside the location, and that was shortly after outdoor dining was permitted in New York City. A $1,500 penalty was accepted by the members, but pursuant to the members' directive, that penalty has not been paid or collected. Then on July 2nd, 2020, again, in a similar fashion, people were outside the location, not wearing masks and having drinks and just lingering outside, standing, not in a dining experience. So this is now the 3rd executive order violation, and clearly out of the 3, this is the most blatant. Again, clearly in violation of the executive orders, the licensee is submitted to the members for emergency order or summary suspension.
All right then, Commissioner Fan, do you have any questions?
Mr. Buckley, thank you. The July 2nd incident, it has not been charged yet?
There is a notice of plea and did go out, Commissioner Fan, and the licensee pled not guilty by its attorney, Mr. Savitsky. That case is not going to hearing.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Ford, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you, Tom.
Chairman Bradley, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
All right, with that, I'll call for the vote of the members. First, Commissioner Fan.
This location is continuing indoor service past curfew and therefore violating the governor's executive orders preventing the spread of COVID-19. This location is an imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare, and I'm voting to summarily suspend this license.
Commissioner Ford, your vote, please.
Sorry about that. Based on evidence presented by council, I find this location to be a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare, and I'm voting to summarily suspend.
And Chairman Bradley.
Based on council's presentation, I'm voting to summarily suspend. It's clear this licensee is a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare.
All right, then the next item I have is agenda number 00264GG, Suffolk OP 1047212, Lou Tage, Inc.
Good afternoon, Chairman Bradley, Commissioner Fan, and Commissioner Ford. William Brennan for Council's Office. I'm here today to ask that the board summarily suspend this licensee for blatantly violating Executive Orders 202.3, 202.16, 202.41, 202.43, 202.74, failing to permit an inspection, and failing to adequately supervise the licensed premises. The licensee, Lou Tage, Inc., DBA Rob Key's Country Inn, has been licensed since April of 1981. The premises is located at 427 Fort Salonga Road, Northport, New York. On January 23, 2021, Investigator McGee and New York State Police Investigator Persall performed an inspection of the licensed premises. When they arrived, they noticed the parking lot was full, as were the parking lots of the nearby businesses. There was a large tent set up adjacent to the premises. The investigators observed approximately 70 patrons inside the enclosed tent. There was a party of 28 patrons seated together on the left-hand side of the tent. The remainder of the tables in the tent were not spread 6 feet apart as required by executive order. The investigators entered the premises and observed that the area near the bar was full of patrons standing, not socially distancing. Many of them were consuming beverages as depicted in the photographs supplied by Investigator McGee. It was so crowded that the investigators had difficulty making their way to the bar to disclose themselves to the staff behind the bar. The investigators observed approximately 60 patrons inside the actual restaurant. Investigator McGee attempted to document kitchen workers who were not wearing appropriate face coverings, but her entry to the kitchen was blocked by a staff member who was named Michael. Even after the investigator showed her credentials to the staff member, she was denied entry to inspect the kitchen area. Louis Salvaggio, who identified as the son of the owner, was present and spoke to the investigators. Investigator McGee asked Salvaggio what the maximum capacity of the premises was. Salvaggio responded that it was 67 people. The investigators left the premises and requested further guidance from the New York State Police Command. While outside the premises, the investigators observed a patron walk out of the premises with a drink in his hand, standing, smoking, and drinking in front of the restaurant. The investigators then observed staff from the restaurant carry plates out of the restaurant to serve patrons in the tent after 10 p.m. At 10:30 p.m., the investigators contacted the Suffolk County Police Department to report that the restaurant was operating after curfew. The Northport Village Police responded and entered the premises with investigators McGee and Persall. They observed 2 tables with 10 patrons seated at each table in the bar area. They also observed a table with 5 patrons seated in the dining room. Mr. Salvaggio was still inside the premises. When questioned why the restaurant was still open and serving patrons after the 10 p.m. curfew, Salvaggio stated that the restaurant was, quote, overloaded earlier in the evening. The licensee was previously charged with violating Executive Orders 202.16, 202.41, 202.38, and failing to supervise the premises on September 5th, 2020. The licensee has submitted a conditional no contest plea to resolve that matter, but it's not been reviewed by the board yet. It's clear from the investigator's report and photographs she submitted that this licensee has shown little regard for the executive orders that are currently in place to help curb the pandemic. The manner in which this licensee is conducting his business presents an immediate threat to the health, safety of its patrons, employees, and the community in which it operates. Council's office respectfully requests that the board issue an emergency order suspending this licensee in order to protect the health and safety of the public.
All right, Commissioner Fan, any questions? Are you muted, Commissioner Fan? Sorry.
Sorry, I have no questions. Thank you, Tom.
Commissioner Ford, any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Chairman Bradley, any questions?
I have no questions, thanks.
All right, with that, I'll call for the vote of the members then. Commissioner Fan,
This location is violating the governor's executive order surrounding COVID-19, creating imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare by allowing indoor service and not following social distancing rules. And I'm voting to summarily suspend this license.
Commissioner Ford, your vote, please.
Based on evidence presented by council, I'm voting also to summarily suspend this licensee at this time.
And Chairman Bradley.
Based on council's presentation, I'm voting to summarily suspend. It's clear this licensee is a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare.
All right, then the next item I have is agenda number 00264HH, New York OP 1300770, PGNV LLC.
Good afternoon, members of the authority. Robert Buckley for council's office. The licensee in question has a trade name Empanada Mama, located at 765 9th Avenue in New York County, New York City. And pursuant to the governor's executive order, only outdoor services permitted for on-premise licensees. The premises was visited by investigators this past Friday evening at 7:45 p.m. And the investigators noted an outdoor structure in which patrons were dining. And however, this structure only had one side open. The investigator spoke to manager Ricardo Vasquez and explained to him the guidelines, and the investigator noted taped to a wall was in fact a printout from the New York City's website indicating the appropriate guidelines for indoor dining effective December 2020, which says no indoor dining and outdoor dining only, conformance to governor's executive orders and SLA and Department of Health guidelines. So clearly the licensee is in violation of these executive orders that permit outdoor dining, but with compliance with the guidelines, and continued use of this facility is endangering the public health, welfare, and safety. So therefore, council's office submits this to the members for emergency order or summary suspension of the full on-premise liquor licensee, which was issued a license initially on June 21st, 2017. It has no adjudicated adverse history of any sort. There was a visit to the premises by investigators on 12/12/2020, and investigators observed 3 kitchen workers not wearing face coverings. That matter has not been pled yet, but it was reported in a report of investigation, and that matter will be incorporated in the notice of pleading that is brought on the instant proceeding.
All right, with that, Commissioner Fan, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Ford, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have questions, Tom.
And Chairman Bradley, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
All right, with that, I'll call for the vote of the members. First, Commissioner Fan.
This location is creating a threat to public health, safety, and welfare by allowing indoor service, and I'm voting to summarily suspend this license.
Commissioner Ford, your vote, please.
Based on evidence presented by council, I'm voting to summarily suspend this licensee.
And then Chairman Bradley, your vote.
Based on council's presentation, I'm voting to summarily suspend. It's clear this licensee is a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare.
Okay, then the next item I have is agenda number 00264II, Queens OP 1253755, Ombre Lounge, Inc.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Tammy O'Hara for council's office regarding Ombre's Lounge Incorporated. serial number 1253755, requesting an emergency order of summary suspension. This establishment is located at 85-28 37th Avenue, Jackson Heights, New York. Licensed as a bar lounge with a full on-premises license. The original license was issued on July 29th, 2011, and is set to expire on June 30th of 2021. The reason why the council's office is requesting the emergency order is due to a task force investigation that took place on January 21st, 2021, between the hours of 8:50 and 9:26 p.m. During that time, the investigators observed a fully enclosed structure located on the roadway in front of the establishment. The structure was enclosed on all four sides. There were two sliding doors, but this was in violation of the Executive Order 202.81. While inside the structure, the tables were set too close together, and that they were they were less than 6 feet apart, although there were partitions. The patrons themselves, there were so many patrons inside there that they were basically back to back and side to side next to each other. So all efforts to create a socially distanced atmosphere was for naught, because they were too tightly packed in there to have any kind of social distancing. There were approximately 20 patrons inside of that establishment, inside of the structure. And in addition to those 20 patrons that were eating and drinking inside the structure, investigators also observed 2 additional patrons that were inside of the physical establishment, also consuming beverages at a stand-up bar. Although the licensee does not have any current open matters, it does have a history of prior violations, mostly failure to comply, for a total of $24,000 in civil penalties within the last 5 years. It appears, based on the current activities by the licensee, along with their prior history, that it is unlikely that the licensee will be able to abide by the executive orders put in place by the governor, that are put in place to mitigate the spread of a dangerous and contagious disease. So at this time, Council's office is requesting an emergency order of suspension.
Commissioner Fan, any questions?
Tammy, when did you say they were licensed again?
The June 29th of 2001. I'm sorry, 2011. I apologize.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Ford, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Chairman Bradley, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
All right, with that, I'll call for the vote. First, Commissioner Fan.
Based on evidence presented by council, this location is an imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare because it's allowing indoor service during this pandemic. Voting to summarily suspend because it's imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare.
Commissioner Ford, your vote, please.
Based on evidence presented by council, I'm also voting to summarily suspend this licensee.
Chairman Bradley, your vote.
Based on council's presentation, I'm voting to summarily suspend. It's clear this licensee is a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare.
All right, then. The next item and last item I have is agenda number 00264 J. Queens OP 1040267. Licensee is Listo El Polo Apollo Inc.
Good afternoon again, Tammy O'Hara for Council's office. In regards to Listo El Pollo Incorporated, located at 86-02 37th Avenue, Jackson Heights, New York. This license was originally issued on July 1st of 1999, and it is due to expire on June 30th of 2021. This is a restaurant with a full on-premises license, and we are requesting an emergency order of suspension due to the licensee's activities stemming from January 21st of 2021. At that time, there was a task force investigation and inspection that occurred between the hours of 9:27 p.m. and 9:45 p.m. The investigators observed four different structures, two fully enclosed structures that were located in front of the establishment, and two that were located that were enclosed patio areas at the side of the establishment. On the night in question, January 21st, three of those structures were in place and being used. One of the structures had patrons that were standing and dancing inside without proper facial coverings in violation of Executive Order 202.38. The other structure, the two other structures that were in place were the two enclosed patio areas, and in both of those structures, patrons were observed eating and drinking inside. All of the structures were enclosed on all four sides. They were not open on at least two sides as required by Executive Order 202.81. Although they were separated by a plastic partition, they were all set up in a manner that did not encourage social distancing. In addition to that, one patron that was later identified as the niece of the principal was observed inside the establishment seated at a table at the time of the inspection. Although this licensee does not have any prior violations, it does have a current open matter from June 27th of 2019. This case is currently pending, and they are charged with availing, unauthorized trade name, and other charges. Our information and belief is that the establishment is still availing. The license of the principal, which is Andres Cordona, in that it is our information that there is another relative of the principal and another individual have filed another corporation that is currently using that license to run the bar. It is clear, based on the current state of the structures, the continual abuse of the license that was issued to the principal, that it is unlikely that the licensee will abide by any directives by the SLA to properly maintain their establishment, to prevent the spread of a dangerous and contagious disease. And so at this time that we are requesting a emergency suspension of their liquor license.
Thanks, Tammy. Just to add, I believe that we have in the report that there were a total of 44 patrons in the three interior, in the three locations, the three locations that were closed on each side. Also, there was a notice to correct provided to the licensee on January 14th, which we have a copy of from the Department of Transportation. So in addition to other notices, they were expressly informed that their structures were non-compliant in certain ways that they did not fix. And then, of course, we have the concern that the named principal at this location, the principal that the members licensed, may not even be involved in its supervision at this point. But even if that weren't the case, we would be presenting the case for summary suspension based on the violations.
All right, Commissioner Fan, any questions?
Tammy, what's the original capacity of the restaurant?
I'm sorry, just may I have a moment, please? I don't have that in front of me.
I will say, Tammy, if I interrupt,
Yes.
there is a notation in the report that they are not within 25% of capacity.
Yes.
We're not relying on that. The investigator, I believe, included that. We have some feedback.
Yeah, Tammy, can you mute?
Oh, sorry, I apologize. Yes.
We're not relying on that. There's an executive order in New York City right now that makes 0%, anything over 0%, a violation of the executive order. I think if they're under 25% of, it's possible that our investigator has some information as to what the occupancy is and believe that it would be under 25, it would not have been under 25%. I think the point about that is even if inside service was permitted now, they would have violated that as well. But it's not the basis on which we're relying to ask the members to suspend the license.
All right. Commissioner Fan, anything else?
No, I have nothing.
Commissioner Ford, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you, Tom.
Chairman Bradley, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
All right, with that, I'm going to call for the vote. Tammy, can you mute your line again, please? With that, I'm going to call for the vote of the members. First, Commissioner Fan.
Based on evidence presented by counsel, it's clear that this licensed premise continues to be an imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare by allowing indoor service. I'm voting to summarily suspend this license.
Commissioner Ford, your vote, please.
Based on evidence presented by counsel, I am also voting to summarily suspend this licensee at this point.
And Chairman Bradley, your vote.
Based on council's presentation, I'm voting to summarily suspend. It's clear this licensee is a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare.
Right then, Chairman, I have nothing else. Do you have anything you want to add to the calendar?
No, just thank you all for all the work on a Sunday. It's greatly appreciated.
All right, with that, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.